Why would we talk on a subject like foreign aid? There's 1,000 other subjects you could talk on. It was something that had tripped my trigger on that recently. I thought maybe it'd be a good thing, because if I'm able to hold it all together here, we can kind of tie it in with a lot of problems facing the country, not just one single problem. It seems we had a county convention, political convention, 2 weeks ago, Saturday, here in the county, and which is normal. Purpose of the county convention predates the state convention, obviously, is to elect delegates from the county to go to the state convention in, I think it's 2 months. And the other portion of the convention is devoted to going over the party platform in its entirety, line by line, plank by plank. And I just want to bring up 2 things out of the platform. And one was, I could bring up a dozen things out of it, but I'm going to bring up 2 things. And only going to dwell on one of them. And one of them was a plank for a balanced budget amendment. And actually, I don't think that's necessarily a bad idea at all. And be quite frank with you, that amendment passed pretty much unanimously with really little or no controversy. Okay, this would indicate to me, and I would assume anybody was there, that probably the people that were in favor of it, which was the majority, vast majority, felt that maybe there's something wrong with our spending in this country, and maybe we ought to kind of throttle it down and try to get a little rein on it, and maybe in the back of their minds might even have been a concept that maybe there is a problem, maybe the United States really is broke. So if there's anything to it, let's pass this balanced budget amendment. Well, anyway, it ended up as a plank in the platform. The platform overall, in my opinion, is really not a bad platform. It's really quite good. But there was a number of things in mine and a few other people's that needed a little tweaking or improving or minor changes and so forth. And one other thing that came up that I want to talk on, or this is what made me interested in trying to present this business on foreign aid, was there was a plank in there that said something in relation to foreign aid that our party believes that the United States should only give foreign aid to countries friendly to the United States. Well, that's kind of logical up to a point. Well, anyway, there was a lot of controversy, pro and con on this, because there's quite a few people that felt, the main controversy was quite a few of us, that included me, felt that we should just delete that one entirely and simply put in there that we believe that the United States should not engage in any foreign aid, period. Whether they're friendly countries or whether they're hostile countries, just period. So anyway, there was quite a bit of controversy back and forth. And when it came to a vote, we ended up with a standing vote. Now, for those of you who don't know, when you bring it to a vote, it's either aye or nay. And frequently it's so overwhelming one way or the other. Okay, you know who won. This was so close that they had to have a standing vote, which means the ayes stand up, they're counted, they sit down, then the nays stand up, they're counted, they sit down, and then the tallies are, and then whoever prevailed in numbers, that's the way the issue with the plank goes. Anyway, I wanted to point out that there's a biblical adage called, I'm gonna get my glasses on here, I don't know which one I'm going to. Oh, very simple. The double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. Has anybody ever heard that? Yes. Of course they have. The double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. Has any of us ever been double-minded at any point in time in our lives? If you haven't, I know you're not telling the truth. Because I have, probably more times than I'm aware of, and many times it's just that, I wasn't aware of it. And usually, in my opinion, I could be wrong on this, I think most people are double-minded on issues, not deliberately and not with malice or forethought or anything like that. I think it's because they don't have enough information on a given area to come up with perhaps the right decision. Okay, so I'm not throwing any rocks at anybody because of the way they voted one way or the other. It's just the way it goes. This business of foreign aid. Everybody has heard that foreign aid is the taking of money from poor people in a rich country and giving it to rich people in a poor country. Everybody's heard that. Kind of sounds amusing, doesn't it? Unfortunately, I used to think it was just amusing, but after looking into it very extensively over a period of time, in my opinion now, it's a fact. Foreign aid is taking money from poor people in a rich country and giving it to rich people in a poor country. Now, how is that the case? Very simple. What do? Our government takes taxpayer-financed money at interest. It borrows money, creates debt at interest, and they take this money in their hot little sticky hands, and let's say we want to give country X some food. A lot of starving people over there. So what do? We want to give them free food. We borrowed the money to put on the back of our people so we give free food away. So we go to where? A multi-billion-dollar corporation, perhaps like Archer Daniel Midlands, you know, one of the multi-billion-dollar grain monopolies, and there's 4 other ones just like it. And we'll buy hundreds of thousands or a couple of million metric tons of, who knows, wheat or corn or whatever, and we'll ship it over to country X. What else do we give away? Sometimes we give medical supplies, and you know, sometimes we give weapons, munitions, weapon systems, and foreign aid. We've done that all the time. This has been going on since, I believe, 1945 or 1946. And so we give weapon systems away. What do? We take the money that the government does in their hot, sticky little hands, because we're going to give all these free things to these countries overseas, and we go down to a member of the military-industrial complex, some billion-dollar corporation, and we buy millions of dollars worth of weapon systems or munitions or, you know, weapons and so forth, and then we send it over to country X over there out of the goodness of our heart. So what happens when it gets over to country X? When the weapon systems and so forth, the ships come in, who gets their hands on it? Well, who runs country X? The ruling elite in country X, and all their lackeys and cohorts in the military. They're the ones that run country X. They get their hands on these weapons and munitions and so forth, and what do they use it for? If they coincidentally happen to be at war with one of their neighbors, sure, some of it's going to be used for that purpose. But a lot of times they're not necessarily at war with their neighbors, so what are they going to need all those weapons for? No, don't worry about it. They'll find a need for it, because the rulers of country X are like the rulers in every other country on this planet. They like to rule. And what do you have to do to maintain rule? You keep the little people with your foot on their neck so that they get out of line, you can stomp their face into the dirt. So they take these weapons, weapon systems, and they give them to the police, the military, and so forth to make sure that the little people in the country don't get out of line and don't get out of hand. Okay? What about all the food when it gets over there? You know, not the rice, but the corn and soybeans and wheat and all this kind of stuff. Does it get down to the little poor people that are undoubtedly there and desperately probably need it? Sometimes. Occasionally, some of it does accidentally filter down to the bottom level where we hope it was supposed to go in the first place. But don't count on it full time. As often as not, the elite in that country get their hands on all these commodities, millions of tons or whatever it is, and frequently they sell it into the economy, their local economy, and they and their cohorts and their buddies and the people that put them in office make incredible amounts of money off of this free food that the poor people in the rich country have donated to the poor people, supposedly, in a poor country. Foreign aid is not what it seems. Okay? So much for that side of it. What about the money side of the foreign aid? The United States, is anybody in here not aware that we are broke? It's really not a secret. The United States is broke. In order to run anything in our federal government, that our federal government does, any day-to-day operations or any other operations, including foreign aid, the government has to borrow money at interest in order to even give it away or to just operate the government on an everyday basis. Where does the money come from?